Okay. Want to get going, Jim?
Yep, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
All right, we're going to begin. Good evening. And welcome to my remarks this evening regarding the state of our city. It is my privilege as the 9th mayor of the city of Pepper Pike to present these comments to you this evening. It's wonderful to see you here, and I'm glad you all could be with us. I'll leave time at the end for any questions or exchange that you might want to have, and I welcome that. I will report to you about not only our fiscal health, which continues to be excellent, but about personnel and developing events occurring since we were last together and what we plan for the coming year. I welcome the members of council who are here with us tonight, as well as our department heads and chiefs. I also want to acknowledge and say thank you to my wife of almost 45 years, Jean, who's with us tonight. And Jean, of course, continues to provide me invaluable advice, ideas, and grounding as I carry out my tasks, and she likes to provide reminders as to what is important in our lives. I can stick around afterwards also to share photos and videos of my grandchildren. So. As this year marks the 100th anniversary of the founding of Pepper Pike in 1924, first as the village of Pepper Pike, and then through growth and increased population to become a city 54 years ago in 1970, I will also touch on some of that history and how we have arrived at this moment. Since we were together last year, we were acknowledged as the #1 rated suburb in the region. While that recognition may be a temporary annual judgment to be shared this year with still another city in the coming months, our standing in the ranks as one of the best communities in the region is well established. Though we are small, we are mighty, and our reputation and the reality of Pepper Pike as a premier city, a beautiful and outstanding place in which to live, springs from the people who choose to live here. A lesson of the last 100 years has been that as we maintain our city and prosper as a community, we recognize and adapt to our evolving world while striving to manage change and to maintain the best of the past and present. We take steps which preserve our city and build upon its solid foundation in a manner consistent with its traditions, but with an eye to the future. We must preserve the great attributes of this community while preparing, encouraging, and guiding it in a manner which will serve the needs of our community and sustain the city for the future. I'm not using this microphone. Can people hear me all right? Okay. When responding to Cleveland Magazine's annual ratings questionnaire, I am generally asked to describe the biggest news in our town. That remains the success of our community and great stability we have achieved by which we deliver outstanding services to our residents. The biggest news certainly includes the extraordinarily strong fiscal position the city continues to achieve through careful management and a strong tax base. We have the ability to maintain the best services for our residents and to plan to make significant public improvements, such as walkways for the first time on major busy arteries. We are maintaining the best of traditional Pepper Pike while planning for the next generation. We have achieved this success in government through creative ideas and how our team has managed our departments, conserving resources, and regionally engaging in money-saving opportunities, seeking out grant opportunities to supplement and leverage our own resources, while maintaining excellent salaries for our employees and a very low 1% income tax, with a 0.5% credit for our residents. This, in addition to reasonable property taxes compared to others, allows Pepper Pike to provide many of the region's most outstanding services and great housing opportunities where your dollar goes the farthest. We are looked upon with envy by other communities. Last year, our city's voters responded to the ballot initiative by voting overwhelmingly for improving the walkability of our city. Your city government has responded to that, and engineering is underway for the first of those walkways to be constructed in 2024 along Lander Road from Chagrin to Fairmount Brainerd Circle. There it will link with the multi-purpose trail extending to connect with what will be the transformation of the wide Gates Mills Boulevard median as it becomes a linear park. This transformation will be a final step in the journey of that median property, from vacant farmland to a failed train right-of-way to a village dump to a failed plan for a dense residential development through the long and litigious 1970s as the city opposed that development and completed its acquisition of the parcels, until now, when a permanent preservation of the acres for the beauty of the city and enjoyment of its residents is being achieved. The trail in the park and walkway on Lander, and those to come on Shaker and South Woodland, will broadly connect the city as it becomes safely accessible for walkers and families. The landscape architectural firm of MKSK has now been retained to work with our engineers to make the park and these connections a reality. So let's begin with our annual review of the city's finances. What I am pleased to report is that as we entered this calendar year, we are even stronger financially than we were as we began 2023. We have annually continued to improve our financial situation, which has over the past 12 years restored our city to economic stability and affords the opportunity to maintain and grow on an ongoing basis our infrastructure and capital needs. We spend our dollars carefully and in a sustainable fashion. We have responsible 5-year plans for sustainable infrastructure and capital improvements. These are evolving plans which update annually and even more often as we forecast our needs and respond to evolving circumstances. In 2023, the city's main fund, its general fund, began the year with a $19,517,000 balance. That is up $4.3 million from January 2023. It reflects a total increase of more than $17 million from the $2.05 million we began with in 2012. This protects the city from any major unexpected costs due to natural disasters, like a pandemic, a struggling economy caused by a pandemic, or other exigencies, which allows this city to pay as we go. Having this flexibility allows us to take on important infrastructure projects rather than defer to the future when money is available. We annually maintain our streets to prolong their lives so as to moderate the frequency and the need for total street replacements in the future. We have taken on the stormwater infrastructure issues confronting the city and resolved much of them. As I've delved into the records of the city's history as we proceed through our centennial, it is fascinating to read that through the decades of materials, there were these ongoing struggles with stormwater, sewer issues, septic, and essentially many of the same challenges of today. Everything old is new again, and the inability to accomplish some infrastructure solutions, which we are only resolving now, find their roots in the depression of the 1930s and the failure of the Van Swearingen development plans for Pepper Pike. Others, however, picked up the reins and our then village pushed forward to become what it is today. Worked on for decades with some progress, but still only in the last decade have many major stormwater projects been accomplished individually by the city and in partnership with the regional sewer district. We have greatly reduced flooding in many areas of the city. Our financial stability has allowed us to undertake needed and now completed in the last year renovations of our service, police, and fire departments. The City Hall renovation is next up, but all of this has been and will be accomplished in a fiscally and affordable manner, and at a fraction of what was envisioned just 15 years ago. We have preserved the strong bones of the 1950s and 60s structures we have, but have improved upon them and made them suitable for 21st century government operations. There's more to do, but with great progress has been made to repair and replace critical equipment in all departments. It allows us to turn our attention to projects which will enhance the city for our residents by making it an attractive, healthy, and fun place to live. When the state eliminated the Ohio estate tax, from which Pepper Pike received an annual average of $3.4 million, it was not clear how that deficit of revenue could be overcome. It was accomplished through good management, the restructuring of some services, how they were delivered, and a consistently healthy tax base. We must be grateful that we have strong real estate and income tax bases. The responsible collective bargaining agreements that we have repeatedly struck with our employees, the regionalized and shared service agreements and partnerships we've made with Beechwood for dispatch, Moreland Hills for building services, Cleveland Water for water main line replacement, the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District for major stormwater projects, the competitive and valuable county, state, and federal grants which we have fought for, secured, and now all contribute to annual and long-term savings while continuing to deliver outstanding services to our residents. Ongoing responsible management decisions in how we operate our city, how this government functions, have created a model which continues to allow the city to flourish. Therefore, for the 13th year in a row under my administration, the city finances and fiscal outlook are stable and flourishing. We will continue to focus upon remaining on the path of fiscal responsibility. We must continue to be engaged in programs and planning which create a sustainable model for the city. It allows us to plan and create the improved infrastructure our residents demand. Through careful fiscal management, we have actually improved our already high-quality services. We continue to maintain stability, and we have an ample cash reserve. Let no one be complacent, however. Challenges I described last year remain. The foundation of our municipal funds, the municipal income tax, remains under scrutiny, and some might say attacked by the legislature in Columbus. Unfunded mandates which would require significant increases in employer contributions to police and fire pension funds remain on the table in Columbus. As your mayor, I am very engaged on your behalf, along with others, to steer through complicated decisions on these state initiatives. The movement among the many townships and some in the state legislature to eliminate the state income tax and have simply a sales tax system is a model which would likely harm Pepper Pike a good deal. There remains an unwritten end to this story, and I share it simply to make you aware that the future is not yet written and it remains uncertain as we continue to monitor and manage change the best we can. Our success is due to the efforts of our great employees. Our finance team is led by Joe Brzezinski, sitting there. Say hi, Joe. City Finance Director and City Administrator. Thank you, Joe, for all of your hard work. We strive to sustain future revenues by continuing to attract young families to our city and benefit from the resulting tax resources they bring. We must focus on the need to prepare for the city's next generation who will come to live with us and make the city their own. In the last 6 years, about 28% of the parcels in Pepper Pike have changed ownership and have a new owner. That number, 28%, does not include properties that have simply transferred within the same ownership chain, essentially. You know, Mary Doe transferring to the Mary Doe Trust. I'm not including those numbers. I'm saying that 28% of the properties themselves have transferred to unique new ownership, what appears to be unique new ownership. We welcome these new residents and look forward to those who are still coming behind them. It's our responsibility to maintain a financially sound and stable city where homeowners and businesses will have confidence to invest. The city must protect our residents' investments in their homes and enhance the experience of choosing to live in Pepper Pike. This will attract young, successful families to choose our city. We do this by offering superior services, a safe and welcoming environment, and the amenities that make Pepper Pike not simply the place where you own a home and pay taxes, but the community where you take pride in being from and calling home. It's important to recognize that this is a team effort. I depend upon and express here my gratitude to our city staff members who are true public servants. Every day they come to work, not to receive accolades, but for the opportunity to not only earn a living, but to be of service and improve the quality of life of our residents. This public service is their career, and they are passionate about it. To those men and women, whatever their task, on the line, in the office, or in management, we appreciate you and we salute you. Sometimes in this address, I take the opportunity to focus on a particular department. I've done so in the past with the police department, with the service department. This year, we're going to take that deeper dive into the operations and accomplishments of our fire department so that you can understand all that is happening behind the scenes. Our fire department provides not only fire safety and rescue, but highly trained and professional medical assistance, responding to residents who find themselves in unexpected life or death situations. We are fortunate to be led by Chief John Frazier here with us tonight, who provides smart and skilled leadership to a department of professional paramedic firefighters. In accord with our working chief model, Chief Frazier is himself a highly skilled paramedic who continues to train, takes the runs, and saves lives, just as the others who serve with him. Some highlights for fire EMS over the past year include, in 2023, the following emergency responses. There were a total of 1,154 total incident responses. 41% of those, 475 of those emergency calls were fire related. Now, not very few of those are structural fires where a house is burning down, but many are, oven fires, a sauna catching on fire. Lots of different things occur. Many turn out to be, overheated steam and smoke in a kitchen from a cooking event that sets off an alarm, but we respond to it all. The trucks roll, the crews appear, because our fire department takes no one's life or property, as anything but at risk when they roll out of that firehouse. EMS incidents comprise 59% of all emergency calls. That's 679. Now, those resulted in 340 EMS transports, and of those, 85% were advanced life support calls. In other words, over 280 were life and death transports. It is very good, ladies and gentlemen, to live in the city of Pepper Pike. The average EMS response time is 5.5 minutes. Now, that number would be even lower, but it includes, on that average, the time spent traveling outside of our community for mutual aid calls. So this is just an outstanding, responsive team of medical professionals who are there within literally minutes of receiving a call to respond to your needs. Our department again attained in 2023 the American Heart Association Mission Lifeline Gold Award for STEMI, which is a heart attack treatment, and stroke care. Awarded this honor in 2015, 2020, 2022. It has again been achieved by our fire department. It is not a casually given out acknowledgement by the AHA. The department conducts monthly continuing medical education training with the Cleveland Clinic staff and our own medical director, Dr. James Sauto. Their topics include, and if you're in the medical field, you'll understand what I'm saying better than I'm saying it. Advanced airway skills, pediatric advanced life support, endocrine emergencies, STEMI mimics, trauma emergency care, handling summer mishaps, accidents, and injuries, LVAD post-transplant care. That's when someone has a left ventricular transplant made. Regional case study reviews. All of our paramedics were recertified in that pediatric advanced life support. by the American Heart Association, operating through the Cleveland Clinic. When we're tired of training as skilled medical professionals, our fire department conducts hydrant inspections involving the greasing and flushing of 851 fire hydrants. And speaking of fire hydrants, all hydrants north of Shaker Boulevard last year, plus all main routes, were inspected and prioritized as to replacement needs. 500 of those hydrants were wire brushed with the piece of equipment called a plug hug by our service department, and then they were painted a lovely rainforest green by members of our fire department. This hydrant project should be completed by the end of summer 2024. Approximately 100 hydrants were replaced in 2023. And we thank the City of Cleveland Department of Water for their wonderful support and bearing the expense of this hydrant replacement. Over a mile length of hoses were tested by the fire department. They maintain and test their fire pumps. They get the aerial trucks certified. The pumpers are tested and certified. There's certification with their life packs, their COTS loading system. It's just, many think, oh, they're only working when they go out to respond to an event. These gentlemen, unfortunately we don't yet have a lady firefighter, these gentlemen are constantly training and preparing for the event that is going to take them away from the firehouse to participate and help in our community. They help you with your insurance rates. Because of our fire department, the Insurance Service Organization provides what's called an ISO rating, determines a community's public protection classification in order for insurance companies to determine property insurance rates. That is completed every 5 years, and in this quinquennial inspection of the Pepper Pike Fire Department, which also involved their evaluation of our dispatch program with the City of Beechwood and the Cleveland Water Supply System, we maintained an ISO Class 3 rating. That's number 3 out of 10, with 10 basically being you have no fire department. And it's really an excellent rating that we continue to maintain. Our firefighters keep in shape throughout the year. Ohio Administrative Code requires a health-related fitness and wellness program for firefighters. We received a Fire Act grant for the replacement and upgrade of 7 pieces of our fitness and aerobic equipment maintained in the firehouse, as well as training of 3 firefighters as peer fitness trainers. All firefighters completed successfully their annual physicals in 2024 already. We continue working with our new records management system. Nothing is done by hand anymore, really. We have computerized staff scheduling, payroll tracking, personnel management, analytics, quality control management, fire inspections that have been performed, hydrant inspections and testing, commercial building pre-plans, fire department vehicle equipment inspections and inventories, vehicle repairs, hose and pump tests. It goes on and on. The Pepper Pike Fire Department has been utilizing this software and training its personnel to operate it and maintain it. And we sent 2 officers to training in Austin, Texas last year, in fact, to make sure that we had the right management skills in the operation of this software. Pepper Pike's Fire Department certified and recertified 6 personnel in what's called Blue Card Incident Command. All Pepper Pike Fire Department personnel go through this program in order to work with a management system that provides command and control during fire and EMS incidents in our city, as well as working together with other departments during mutual aid incidents. Our fire personnel participate in training in the schools. When our police go there for crisis event training, our fire department personnel are there also training alongside them. They become familiar with our schools, be it this school complex or the religious school complexes at Gross Schechter, Park Synagogue, the churches, wherever it might be. They make sure they participate and reach out to our community, and you'll often see them at our different community events with some small child getting to pretend he's a fireman climbing up on a truck. They supervise our CERT team. The CERT team, for those who don't know, is a group of about 30 concerned residents from Pepper Pike. It's under the direction of Lieutenant Rob Felber of our fire department. And they meet every month to train and prepare for various emergencies. You may see them most often when they're just training or utilizing their skills to help maintain traffic control, things like that at some of our events. But they're doing things that are more fundamental. They were instrumental in the COVID-19 points of dispensing, which are called pods, during the pandemic. They established protocols and operational support for those pods. They provide assistance to returning residents that have been evacuated from a situation for any purpose. It's a very worthwhile and heavily trained for thing, and I thank all those volunteer residents who participate in it. Our police department is led by Chief Carl Dietz, who is also with us here this evening. Our police department prides itself on serving and protecting our residents. These are the notable updates regarding the police department from May 2023, when we were last together, through this March, and for the remainder of this year. 5 additional traffic cameras have been added at strategic locations in our city. This assists with monitoring traffic and helping to solve crime. Pepper Pike is now a member of what's called EDGE. That is the East Side Department's group enforcement. EDGE is an association of 8 police departments which staff specialty teams, such as SWAT units, AIU, accident investigation, bomb disposal, negotiators, and more, which through a committed mutual assistance program shares expertise throughout the departments. Our detective bureau this last year has been very busy and very successful, being a principal actor assisting in the investigation and arrest of at least 8 individuals responsible for car thefts from Pepper Pike and other greater Cleveland area communities. Thanks to the efforts of many, including our police, fire, and engineer, critical safety changes to I-271 in Pepper Pike were successfully pushed for, and recently we learned are officially funded and scheduled by ODOT to be constructed in 2025. This involves major improvements to the northbound Cedar exit ramp, and we hope to see a lessening of serious accidents at this location. You may have experienced where traffic is just slowing down, sometimes to a stop, as you approach that Cedar exit heading northbound. That has been the cause of many accidents, and some of them are tragic. So after really a decade of pushing, which extends back to Chief Dietz's predecessor, Joe Mariola, we continued the struggle along with our Chief Frazier and Don Shee, our engineer, trying to get ODOT to pay attention, and they did. They were I visited with them also, with the chiefs and engineer, and they understand they had a serious problem going on there, and they are going to be attending to this. I wish it were starting yesterday, but at least it's on the schedule, and hopefully it'll be a minimum of accidents that we have to experience before the work finally becomes completed. The Pepper Pike Police Department has suffered attrition the last several years through retirement and officers moving from the area. This has occurred during a difficult hiring environment, locally and nationwide, to hire the quality young officers our community deserves and needs. I'm pleased to tell you that since we were last together, we have hired 2 fine young officers, one already on the street and the other completing the police academy. These are terrific young men, and we can be proud of their identifying our department by its quality, culture, and the community it serves as the department in which they wish to spend their careers. It is our hope, with the consent of council, to hire one more officer during the coming year. Our police are guardians, keeping our homes and streets safe while assisting residents to address the many issues which come to the department's attention. Last year, about 13,000 activity calls were received requiring services by your police department. These included nearly 3,500 premises checks where our police visited homes, many having registered on the away from home list for our officers to keep tabs on the safety of that home while the residents were away. That is the nature of the guardianship approach and the guardianship service our department provides. Thanks also, of course, to our Civil Service Commission, which periodically meets to review and approve our testing results so that the hiring by both our police and fire departments can go forward. Turning our attention to the service department. We all know that the service department, those gentlemen are the true ambassadors for the city, many times providing the principal point of contact, creating a resident's impressions of our city government. They assist our residents with answers to questions and advice well beyond their role in sanitation or road work. The service department, in addition to refuse collection, possess many different and sophisticated skills for which some larger cities have to pay third-party contractors. And this saves our residents a great deal of money. To try to shortcut it, here are the service department by the numbers. Street sweepings, we removed 60.78 tons of material. Solid waste, 2,800 tons of material. Recycling, 402.02 tons of material. Yard waste, 542.23 tons of material. Salt, we distributed 2,281 tons of salt. A total of 303 overtime hours were worked between January and December of 23-24, and a total of 78 and a quarter hours of overtime, though, were saved because the great scheduling that our service department does in the winter hours, shifting a group of workers to an evening shift so that they're there late and the next shift shows up again at 4 a.m. in the morning. And that has saved, obviously a tremendous amount of overtime in response. The service department last year was able to repair 13 catch basins, additionally cleaned 22 more throughout the city. We used 31.82 tons of hot asphalt to repair potholes during the summer months and used 11.5 tons of cold mix for potholes during the winter months. I asked Jim for numbers, and these are as precise as I could ever have asked them. Thank you, Jim. Vehicle maintenance. We run 2 mechanics in our garage. The city fleet inventory is a total of 51 road vehicles between police, fire, and the service departments. The maintenance of these vehicles include duties, as benign as tire replacements, oil changes, but other much more intense mechanical repairs being made throughout the year. When a hydraulic hose blows in the middle of winter and it looks like one of our big plows has come to a halt, it's those 2 mechanics who jump on it and get that plow back on the road, in remarkable short periods of time. Last year we purchased a new Packer, that's a garbage truck, a Freightliner sweeper, 2024 sweeper that had come out at the end of last year. That's what cleans your streets. 2 new Kubota scooters, that's what's running up your driveways, and 3 Chevy Tahoes, that we use for miscellaneous areas of work and for the police department too. Kudos to our department heads, all of them, you know, Joe, the chiefs, everybody, for good planning, because there's a significant lag time and lead time to get this equipment. Some of these trucks were ordered a year before, anticipating that equipment we had was going to ultimately time out. And the only way to get in line for that equipment was to order it what would appear almost prematurely. Well, when we were taking delivery for our trucks, other cities were standing by thinking they had no access to new equipment. So once again, thank you to our staff for anticipating the slowdown of delivery of this equipment. Our service department has trained an on-staff certified arborist, and that way we were able to keep costs at a minimum. We pruned last year over 300 trees, removed 20 of them, and planted over 100 trees and bushes. The service department maintains our 40 hanging baskets, ground plantings at Morgan Park, City Hall, Lander Road, South Woodland, Rhode Islands, and the Brainerd Y. The workers spread over 120.5 tons of mulch at City Hall, Pepper Pike Park, and Morgan Park. If you haven't been to Morgan Park, there is a beautiful perennial garden there. It's a pollinator garden. I need to acknowledge and thank the wonderful residents who worked very hard to design and plant that and maintain that pollinator garden. So thank you to all those wonderful residents. One of them happens to be my wife, so thank you. While the service department often works in the field repairing streets, maintaining trees, collecting rubbish and recycling, improving our infrastructure, our staff also does a lot of unseen, behind-the-scenes work. The department is instrumental in planning and working all of our city events, including the music in the park, the Taste of Pepper Pike, the movies in the park, the ice cream social, the Harvest Festival, now all the other fun and educational, family and fun-oriented festivities that we accomplish. We have another exciting lineup coming this year. Tickets for the 9th annual Taste of Pepper Pike go on sale on May 1st with exciting upscale food and beverage vendors set to offer a vast variety of delicious tastings. We have commitments from some exciting new restaurants, including we're going to see the return of Crew, which is wonderful. It's been many years since they participated. Lao Tse, the wonderful new Chinese restaurant up at Pinecrest, is coming. And we have a lot of, it should be a unique and especially great Taste of Pepper Pike. I urge you to get your tickets before they run out after they go on sale May 1st. You can keep abreast of our latest activities by reading our newsletters, subscribing to our email communications, and visiting our website. Let's turn to the building department as we move along. New housing developments have been providing additional options to residents who may be looking to downsize and offer opportunities to new residents looking for a different floor plan and housing style. Sometimes this has been not downsizing, but upsizing. Some of this new development are very large homes. Despite the high cost of construction material and labor, Pepper Pike has continued to attract new construction and additions to its residential housing stock. What pleases me most about it probably is the way people feel confident making significant investments in building, maintaining, renovating homes here in Pepper Pike, indicating that people understand that it is a good investment of their dollars to be investing into the real estate property they hold here. Total construction value for new home construction in 2023 was close to $12.5 million. This actually represents somewhat of a decrease from the prior year, which had gone up every successive year for several years. Talking to Paul Kowalczyk, our building official who is here with us today. Paul theorizes that we just don't have as many open lots as we used to. There are actually very few left, and we'll get to that in a moment. But the building that we do experience is still very robust for a community our size. Last year, we issued 14 new construction permits. 5 new homes were built in Edgewood Trace along Cedar Road, bringing the total of units in that development to 34. The Sterling Lakes development saw an additional 3 homes under construction. After many years of building, there are only 3 lots left in Sterling Lakes. Don, how many did it start with?
285.
285. So that's a very significant build out that has occurred in that southeast corner of our city. In addition to new home construction, permits for home remodeling to existing homes remained robust. 22 additions with an estimated valuation of over $4.4 million took place. 27 new decks and outdoor patio spaces with a valuation of over $300,000. 74 remodeling projects on existing homes came in at over $3.7 million. Total construction value just on the addition and renovations was $8.5 million. In addition to the general construction permits pulled for new construction and remodeling, of course, permits are issued throughout the year for various electrical, plumbing, HVAC work associated with those projects and other work taking place in the city. In total, we had just shy of $20,900,000 of renovation and new construction permits were issued last year. That value repeats what is annually among the highest, if not the highest, residential investments in this region, and it remains remarkable for a community of our size. Like I said, we are small but mighty. In addition to residential construction, it was a busy year for commercial development. The Pepper Pike Clubhouse just completed an addition and reconstructed the entire locker room. The Cleveland Racquet Club rebuilt the entire pool and patio last year and completed the remodeling of its locker rooms. The club is currently in the planning phase for additional alterations within the clubhouse and to develop an addition, which I think will involve both tennis and pickleball courts, if I remember, they're gonna put in. The country club completed the building of their new paddle tennis courts and building. They are in the process of completing a major golf course renovation and of their new practice course, as well as completion of major building repairs around the facility. That's important. And it's important not simply because it's great to see the permits being pulled and things like that. The reason it's important is because there's a lot of talk about, gee, will these institutional properties continue to flourish and persist where they are? In other communities, they're gone. Mayfield Country Club, Oakwood Country Club, Acacia Country Club. Country clubs have failed. It is extremely encouraging to me to see our clubs continuing to invest major dollars in the improvement of their properties. They don't believe they're going anywhere. They think they are here to stay and will continue to be very important members of our community. In 2023, Orange High School continued to upgrade their classrooms and ancillary spaces. We saw, after a lot of community engagement on the issue, Medina Creative Living began site work last year and pulled permits for 3 of their cluster homes on the Ursuline Sisters property, which will become residences for the special needs community who will come to live there. Various tenant alterations and remodeling have occurred within the office buildings along Chagrin Boulevard. Let's turn our attention just briefly to public or private developments in our city in the past year. As many of you know, if you've attended these before and paid attention, the city has been engaged in a multi-year stormwater management program to address consequential flooding, so that it became a major initiative undertaken by the city. More than $10 million has been invested by the city and the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District in that effort. Some of the most apparent results can be observed on Gates Mills Boulevard, where the large stormwater management system is sited within the median and will become a feature in our linear park. You know, we all can remember, if you've been here any number of years, you know, the major flooding that was experienced along Gates Mills Boulevard. Many have seen the video of then Lieutenant Dietz marching through a flood along the boulevard up to his waist to rescue some motorist who was driven brilliantly his car into the flood. That didn't happen the last couple of years, if you notice. This program has worked. It was a big investment by the Regional Sewer District. We're grateful to them. As you know, they also purchased 3 homes along Shaker Boulevard and Lander and demolished them and created new floodplain and improved the way that those streams flowed. All of that has contributed to reducing the flooding events that we had seen in the past occurring in Pepper Pike. Our 2024 improvements that we anticipate, you know, depending that and hoping that council approves these improvements going ahead tomorrow evening, are pavement improvements. We're looking to do $2.65 million of construction over 5 miles of roadway. We have support from Cuyahoga County on $100,000 additional of roadway maintenance. The what do you call it? The yes. As the crack filling that we do on the streets. Gates Mill will be repairing with that $2.5 million. Gates Mills Boulevard from Brainerd to Lander. We'll be paving Kersdale from Gates Mills south to the cul-de-sac. Pine Tree from Lander to South Woodland. Woodley Road from Somme to the cul-de-sac. North Deer Creek from Somme to the cul-de-sac. Lombardy Lane from North Deer Creek to the cul-de-sac. We're going to be getting underway with Shaker Sewer Project Phase 2A. That involves the streets of Forest, Edgewood, Chatham, Brewster, Concord, Providence, and Plymouth. We've had a community engagement meeting with the residents of those streets. We've made available to them any of the materials that were presented and discussed if they could not get to the meeting. This is the branching out of the trunk line, which was laid down Shaker Boulevard over the last year. A challenging project. This latest Phase 2A will be supported with $1.67 million of grant money from the Regional Sewer District. The total project is about $3.7 million it's anticipated. We'll also be proceeding this year, and council has approved our engineering of the Gates Mills Boulevard Recreational Trail, which is part of the new Gates Mills Linear Park, which will extend the first mile plus from in front of City Hall going east to Lander Road. We have engaged the landscape architectural firm, as I mentioned before, of MKSK, an outstanding and prominent landscape architecture outfit who has a wonderful aesthetic for those who have seen their past work, and it will tie in very nicely. I think you'll all be pleased with what the appearance of the former train right-of-way, garbage dump, and failed residential development on Gates Mills Boulevard becomes. We're going to have sewer maintenance, of course, on Fairmount Boulevard. We're expending about $45,000 to video clean and spot repair that. We've budgeted $55,000, since you never know what you're going to find once you turn on the camera. These projects are substantial long-term investments for the city in its infrastructure. They're an asset to the communities they serve. We'll continue to seek grants for trail funding, sanitary sewers, stormwater management, and other various infrastructure and landscape improvements. As mentioned, the city continues to partner with the Regional Sewer District to assist our residents with the cost of converting older septic systems as part of a long-term commitment by the city to convert our remaining septic systems to be in compliance with federal, state, and county clean water standards. This is a substantial and important environmental initiative to improve the water quality of the streams in our community and their impact on our watershed. The support that we get from things like the Regional Sewer District or the Cleveland Division of Water for water main replacement, these are enormous sums of money. $13 million, give or take, from regional sewer, $3 million plus from the Division of Water. These projects, the city ultimately could afford likely, but the flashy general fund balance that I talked about at the beginning basically would not be there without the support that we otherwise received through these various grant programs. So it's really important. You need to understand that what we do is not simply unique as a city. We do it in partnership with our other governmental entities with whom we have relationships and work. We'll have our 8th annual Memorial Day commemoration this year. Again, anticipate the participation of the wonderful Orange High School Band. I encourage you to turn out for the ceremony. If you have not been there before, we treat Memorial Day as it's intended, to honor those who gave their lives to preserve this great country we live in. It's always meaningful, I believe, and particularly so in these times when the very existence of the democracy that we celebrate and they fought and died for is at risk. Today, I hope you all exercised that most valuable right and opportunity you have to go vote. I know it was just a primary election, but that voting is the most sacred right and obligation we have. Pepper Pike is always at the top of the list in the county for voter turnout, at the top or near the top. It makes me proud. I get to brag to other public officials at meetings I go to about our voter turnout. It emphasizes the observation of Benjamin Franklin when he exited the Constitutional Convention in 1787, and he commented when asked what had occurred, "You have a republic if you can keep it." So show up to vote. That's the minimum and most important obligation you have as a citizen. There's an old cliche: for evil to prevail, it only takes good people doing nothing. Please provide the city with your email address. Since I began making this request a dozen years ago, we have well over half of the city receiving our emails. We don't send out a lot of snail mail through the U.S. Postal Service. The way the city communicates is through the email. Virtually everyone has email. Be you 5, 50, or 85. This is how people communicate now. And we urge you to please make sure you offer your email to the city. You can go online to our website. We do not share your email with anybody. And we have been consistent with that always. So you can feel secure. You're not going to get spammed with a lot of trash because you've given us your email. Other people may do that. I can't speak to them, but we do not share your email. So please share it. Make sure your neighbors share it. That's how they're going to find out what's going on in this city. In this centennial year, we are entitled to brag and be proud of the wonderful city we live in. I remarked 13 years ago that the way forward may differ from the past. Diving into our historical record has emphasized that for me. Pepper Pike has never been static. I've learned this then village actually went bankrupt back in the 1930s. It revived and prospered because we had innovative, smart folks leading us into the future. A group of those smart young guys, the Junior Men's Club, created in 1940 about the West Hill Colony. They saw it as an investment opportunity, and this city was on its back, village was on its back. Nothing was happening here. And they built that West Hill Colony area as a good opportunity for them to make money and to develop a good living experience for people who would move there. Change will feel unfamiliar at times and require patience as we seek the best answers. What I said then, 12 years ago, has proven to be true. Sometimes we have and will debate and disagree on the way forward, but the debate must be conducted with civility and the respect that is appropriately accorded when people of goodwill come together for a common cause. But we will go forward. We will accomplish and we will continue to succeed. I do not want this year simply to be a celebration of the past, of the history. It's so much fun to learn about. If you follow our Friday fun facts that we send out every Friday, who knew that months before the resolution passed that this little corner of Orange Township would be Pepper Pike, the village of Pepper Pike, that a similar referendum was defeated, that we would be the village of Rowland Hills. Not Rolling Hills, but Rowland Hills. Who knew? I did not. You know, reading a lot of old paper in the basement of City Hall, we found that out. Who here knows that among the first council persons in that first slate of council people who served Pepper Pike when it was established as a village was a woman? Pauline Lewis was a council person in that first slate of council people. Pauline Lewis seems to have been a remarkable lady. She was married to the gentleman who became the mayor of Pepper Pike, James Lewis, for over 30 years. Two separate periods of time that he served. And Ms. Lewis not only served as a council person for a period, she created the first library in Pepper Pike. It was one evening a week, upstairs, I think in the then school, that she got permission to have access to the building. She brought her own books and they lent them out. And that started the library in this community. And ultimately, it was absorbed into the Cuyahoga County library system, obviously. This is great history. These are lovely stories. We must also celebrate, though, today who we are. We are not the same people who dressed up in colonial costumes to pretend and dedicate our then village hall 70 years ago. They're cute pictures. They're all in their little colonial Williamsburg outfits. That's not who we are today, really. I don't think. We will in this year identify and celebrate today's faces of Pepper Pike. The young and the old, all the ethnicities, all the religions, all the backgrounds. That is who we are, and that is what points us in the direction to where we are headed together. Our small city, which began as a place between the river and the wooded hills, has grown in the last century from farms to village to small city. It has faced and overcome challenges along the way. We will always seek to maintain the best of the past while growing into the future. It will remain the place we want to call home. I ask that you and your neighbors contribute your advice and wisdom. I am not so proud to think I have all of the answers. None of us do. We have among us people with remarkable intellect and skills who can contribute to finding the answers. Please stay involved and committed, be part of the solution. As you see in 2024, we continue our community activities for you and your families to participate in. If you've not been to one of our movies or music nights, grab your spouse, your friends, your children, and come out. You will have fun and know even better why it is you chose to live in Pepper Pike. Together, we will continue to build upon the strong foundations of our city. There remains much that we can accomplish, and I hope that everyone on this first night of spring has a great one. Thank you very much for being here. And that's a summary. There's so much that was left out. If any of you have questions, I'm happy to entertain them. Mr. Taft, you have your hand up. Need a microphone?
If I need it.
Yeah, maybe. Just put down.
Speaking just for myself, I am dazzled. That's a great report.
thank you.
It's really inspiring, and I congratulate the people who make it possible, a bunch of whom I know pretty well, and I congratulate you.
Thank you, sir.
In particular, from a middle distance, which is where I am since it's more than a decade, I think, since I was on council. The most astonishing accomplishment in recent memory is the transformation of Shaker Boulevard to a part of the community that's fully sewered. And the financing, the imaginative financing that went into it was dazzling. It just is a tremendous accomplishment, and the difficulty of doing so it was manifest from how complex the project was, and the success is resounding. I also will take special pride in something that is pretty easy to settle into the background, which is the planting along Gates Mills Boulevard. I was on the beautification committee, or whatever we called it, that looked at that opportunity. It was bare. It had very few trees on it. And now it has this wonderful allée and lovely signature trees at some of the intersections. So now I know how long I've been off council, because they're getting to be nice, mature trees. In the last couple of days, I learned from conversations with the mayor and Jackie Godick, Jim LeMay, and others. Really, I guess nobody else who's on council or serves in office. But I learned about the possibility of a charter review commission. And I remember making some acquaintance with the charter, but my thought to contribute to the discussions of council, and for that matter of the whole community, is that I think there are things to do before creating right now a charter review commission. If you're going to review, have a commission to take on the whole structure of the city, that is something that should be discussed, in my view, very broadly, and treated as a matter of community engagement and teamwork. So for instance, I think a first step would be to have, to identify the low-hanging fruit, the things that could be done to correct known and non-controversial aspects of the charter, because that would help. It would lead to a charter amendment. It would introduce the community to the whole charter amendment process, but it wouldn't do it in such a rapid way that I think some people would find it confusing. So if you want to comment on the charter review issue, it's before council, I think tomorrow, and I will come and share further thoughts then. But I do think the community is a spectacular success now. Charter revitalization may be something that we should consider, but I would urge building a foundation of community awareness for it before we go ahead and charter a commission. complex question of who would be on it. And I don't think we want to be very careful how we populate a commission that has so much power. So those are my thoughts, mostly congratulatory, but also somewhat cautionary.
Why don't you just leave it there in case anyone else thinks. Well, thank you, Rick. You invited my comment. I didn't bring it up during my talk because I think it's something under consideration. An ordinance has been introduced by council. It would be my hope that council is going to take its time in deliberating and receiving community input before advancing to a decision of whether to have a charter review commission. I think such a thing requires, as you just indicated, broad support, is my opinion, before you engage in that process. I think a lot has to be considered as you mentioned, how do you populate such a commission? It's complicated. In my mind, this is the most significant piece of legislation that has been introduced since 1966, when the charter we operate under now was introduced and adopted. I can't think of anything more fundamentally significant that could affect this community than a charter review. I support what you just said about if there are things that need tuning up, just as the then council 12 years ago did, where there was some zoning building code issues that needed to be realigned so that they operated correctly in conjunction with each other. Council adopted an ordinance. There are a few on our council still there who were part of that, Tony and Jim, Scott. So I don't know, I'm looking forward to a conversation. I think that's what we need, a conversation. That's my feeling.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That was really a wonderful and enjoyable account of what has transpired during your tenure. Just a perhaps naive question. We're a small community, less than 7,000 people, less than some big high schools, certainly less than many colleges.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that enrich the cultures of small groups like ours. One being community center activities, where one may find games, table games, fitness programs, continuing education programs. And I'm just getting up to ask the question as to whether or not a community center for Pepper Pike has ever been considered. Not necessarily a physical plant, which would be ideal, such as in Solon, but co-opting other resources, such as here in Orange, the high school or other facilities, to create a community center culture. Has it been discussed? Is it being thought about? You mentioned a number of things that occur in fair weather in the summertime. Country clubs, which not everybody is inclined to join. But a community center culture for the city is something that could be for everyone without dues, etc.
The short answer is yes, it is talked about from time to time. It has obviously not been accomplished the way that you just described it. You know, the way that Pepper Pike came to exist, and this requires a little history, in the way that we fractured out of the Orange Township, Hunting Valley next, and ultimately over the next couple of years, the remaining three communities Woodmere, Moreland Hills, Orange Village. You know, but they kept a common school district. And so this school actually is celebrating its own 100th anniversary this year. As part of that, there's this kind of unique entity. It's not that it's city operated, it's not really purely school district operated. There's the Orange Rec, which operates under the auspices of the Orange School District, and they do have certain programming, which all the members of the old Orange Township participate in. It's really why it's called Orange School District. It's an acknowledgement of the Orange Township itself, the old name, even though more than half of the schools exist in the city of Pepper Pike. So there's that. So there is a certain element of that community center function that's available through the programming of Orange Rec. To have something more focused, where there's a go-to place year-round, you know, as a city, we're pretty constrained just by square footage. We have barely room to entertain a lot of ideas because we don't have any place to put it. I'll share with you, it hasn't gone anywhere because it's all been just sort of thinking. You know, I've often talked to our good friends at Ursuline College. Ursuline is an incredible, almost unsung member of the Pepper Pike community that is not well embraced by the community as being a part of it. And the president of the college and I have had, you know, really heartfelt talks about that, going that it is our mutual desire to integrate the college as being recognized and thought of by our residents as more part of the community. That's a big reason why we locate the Taste of Pepper Pike on the Ursuline campus. It at least brings, on that day, 600-700 Pepper Pike residents to that campus who may never have been on the campus before in their life. And if they just go in and out of the driveway, it's of limited opportunity for them to see it. But some people stop and they wander around and they go, wow, this is a neat little liberal arts college planted right among our houses. And, you know, we're looking to things like to have audit opportunities of the classes available, other types of recreational things perhaps that I would be premature to talk about, and things like that. So something may develop in that direction if we can get the right traction and the right sense of, you know, how does the money work to do these things? So there are those sort of things. But I hear what you're saying, and I understand the desire to have that sort of centralized location. So thank you.
Mayor, can I piggyback on the question?
Hi, sure.
1 second. I love your question. I think it's a great one. If you don't mind, I'll just take 1 minute.
Sure,
But
Sherry.
before I do, thank you, because that was a great talk, and thank you for everything you
Thank
do.
you.
I just wanted to say I love your question, and one of the things our Ursuline community wants to do with the special needs young adults is somehow integrate into the community, and possibly, if we're lucky enough, integrate the students at Ursuline with the special needs adults aging 20 to 50 with the community as an intergenerational project, maybe monthly, I don't know, maybe a movie night, maybe bingo, maybe board game night, maybe jigsaw puzzle night, as a way to start integrating the Ursuline students with our special need loved ones with you. So yes, I think it's a great idea. There's a lot of teachers who would love to do this, so who knows, maybe we can do this in Ursuline, I don't know.
Well, thank you for that gloss.
Okay, thanks
on
for
what I
letting
said.
me piggyback.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Anyone else? Hi, Heidi.
Hi,
Oh, Heidi's gonna talk to us a little bit about the next Civic League event.
Hi, I'm Heidi Arnold. I'm a trustee of the Pepper Pike Civic League. I just wanted to let you all know that we are having our annual town hall meeting Wednesday, May 1st, here in Brady cafeteria. We will actually be focusing on Orange School's 100 years of excellence in education. So they are also celebrating their centennial. Most of their events will be taking place next year, but we're gonna have presentation of the history of the school system by School Board President Jeffrey Lycan, as well as the state of the schools by Lynn Campbell, who is our superintendent. There will be interesting information, we'll have artifacts, letter jackets, all sorts of things from over time, as well as resident answers, questions, and different discussions. So just wanted to remind you all that it's Wednesday, May 1st at 7 p.m. here in the cafeteria.
Thank you.
And we look forward to your attendance, Mayor Bain,
I'd love to be there. Put it back on the table, please.
on the table.
Thank you. And this year, many years we've been able to participate with the Civic League and have them host this talk. Because of some scheduling issues, the city proceeded to work independently of the Civic League this year, but we look forward to hoping our scheduling gets more in tune in the future, and that we can reestablish that sort of support and sponsorship between both the city and the Civic League. Because I always reiterate, the Civic League is a special organization for this community. We're privileged to have such an organization, and we urge your support of it. Is there anyone else? Yes, William.
Hey, William Thompson. Over here. I think one thing we're struck a lot by tonight is I heard a lot of gasps when you gave some of the big numbers. Like, oh my, 51 vehicles. If I guessed, I would have guessed 12. No. I want to call out, you had mentioned the department's anticipating future needs, like ordering a truck a year ahead of time. I think that's fantastic. I want to piggyback on that notion to the 28% number. That's how many parcels were transferred ownership?
Yeah.
I want to clarify. Okay, thank you.
28% of the households turned over to new ownership, not related ownership necessarily, but new people moving into town.
So I'll still say 28%. Sounds like a big number.
Yeah.
Right, probably, yeah. So I'm just thinking about tying the two notions together. Now, whether there's a question here or not, you'll figure it out. But I wonder, like, do we have a sense of like what that's doing as a shift in the community? Like, are there more new families coming in? And I want to tie that into the notion of what decisions can we as a city start thinking about now, all due respect to the long storied history of an excellent, city development, and start thinking about what's the city going to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and start making some decisions now, much like purchasing a fire truck a year in advance, or a fire truck. What other things can we as a city be doing in the mode of anticipation? I think that's the question.
That's the question.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think what your question has really identified the challenge. We don't know precisely who occupies that 28% of the homes. We don't know. We try to keep track of that and learn of it through school enrollments, things like that. We interact with the schools, try to learn who's coming to these schools. Are they seeing an upsurge in their elementary or middle school grades? And so we try to pay attention to those things, and we have meetings with the superintendent about such things. It's my feeling that in part of planning for that future, we need to also have a better understanding of the now, of who we are, who comprises the city. I think as I recall the different census studies that I've seen that extend, 10 years apart, the proportion of older residents to new residents to younger residents, pardon me, it doesn't vary that much. It's pretty, it seems that we, there's always the people like me who, we don't move. We bought the house 34 years ago, we're still in the house, we're getting older. And, but you have other people who, the average time someone stays in the house is 7, 8 years, something in that category. But overall, the age demographics of the city, it doesn't seem to be aging tremendously, that, we suddenly have 50% of the population is 60 years and older. It doesn't seem to be that. I'm a little less certain as to how those demographics do break out. What is clear to me, though, is there is turnover in the city. Not everyone is me. Not everyone just camps out in the house and doesn't leave. So there is turnover. I think that the economic model for this city is fairly simple, to put it, facetiously, but also somewhat accurately, that our goal is for when new residents come, that they're good wage earners and that they pay too much for their house. That's the goal. And if that keeps up, that rhythm, then we replenish, the vitality of this community over and over again. And that is why I've been focused for so many years on the importance of continuing to attract young families to want to move to Pepper Pike. Because we are in competition with the Oranges, the Moreland Hills, communities that people can come for the school district and live in these other towns. Why are they going to choose Pepper Pike? That has to be a reason for them. Why do they come here? And we have wonderful things to help make that decision. We need to enhance and perpetuate that decision tree so that they continue to want to invest in this community. Anyone else? All right, I'm gonna call it then. And I really appreciate everyone coming. Thank you for your patience. I know it's a long talk that I give on these occasions. I appreciate your being here tonight and participate. Be aware of what Mr. Taft spoke to. It's important to your community. Get involved. And we welcome all of you. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.